So we will continue with what we were doing in the last class. So we started a derivation to find out what is going to be the collector current, okay, under forward active region. Okay, so there are four modes of operation for a BJT depending upon how we bias the two junctions. So we chose one particular mode which is called forward active mode, where the emitter base junction is forward biased and the collector base junction is reverse biased, and we are looking at the case of NPN transistor. Similar thing you can do for a PNP transistor also. The derivation and procedure is the same way. Only thing is that wherever the hole comes, the electron will be replaced by it, and wherever the electrons comes, the holes will be replaced by it. So okay, and the equation may have some sign change because electrons have negative charge and the holes have positive charge. Apart from that, the whole analysis is going to look very same. So the starting point, what I said is that when you forward bias an emitter base junction, what is going to happen is that there will be lot of diffusion of electrons from the N plus emitter region to the P base region. Okay, so that is what I have indicated with the red arrow, and similarly you have a flow of holes from the base region to the emitter region also. If we want to denote that, then maybe we can use a different color. So it will be in this direction, the way the holes is going to diffuse from the base to the emitter region. But we are majorly focusing upon the electron diffusion, that is a diffusion from emitter to base, because in the last class we saw that that is going to be the larger contribution of the emitter current, or you can say that almost all the current across this emitter base junction is due to the diffusion of charge carriers from the emitter region to the base region. Okay, so is there any problem? I'm getting some noise. Okay, so in order to find what is going to be this current, we have to look at the way in which the charge carriers, that is the holes, the electrons that has come into the base region, how it is going to be distributed. And since there is going to be a large concentration of electrons in the emitter region, I have denoted here as so if you look here, this NN, that is the whole the electron concentration in the N side, and it is heavily doped, and therefore it is of the order of 10 raised to 18 per centimeter cube. So it is roughly, it is equal to the ND, which is the donor impurity concentration. So when you forward bias this junction, what is happening is that we are reducing the barrier and letting these electrons to go into the other side. And on the other side, we have calculated that that is the number of electrons in the P side. So that is given by Ni square by Na, the acceptor impurity concentration in the base. So these are standard formulas which you can show for a P material and N material. So they are minority carriers. For a silicon atom at room temperature, Ni square is something like 2.25 into 10 raised to 20 per centimeter cube. So Ni is that, and so there will be a square, so it will be centimeter raised to 6, and then in the denominator, depending upon how you are doping, I said it is going to be lightly doped, so you can roughly take it as 10 raised to 15 per centimeter square. So this is centimeter raised to 4. Sorry, I think so centimeter cube. Okay, so this is 10 per centimeter raised to 6 because of the square. Ni is basically per centimeter cube, and if Ni square is like per centimeter, that will be the unit, and centimeter raised to 6, and this will be per cube. So there will be a cancellation, and so roughly it is of the order of 10 raised to 5 per centimeter cube. So this is very, very small compared to 10 raised to 18. It is like many orders of magnitude, 13 orders of magnitude, and therefore when say 1/100th of that concentration, say if it comes to the base side, the reduction in this side is going to be very minimal on the emitter side. The amount by which it is reduced, because we are talking about 1/100th of them leaving to the other side, so 99 of them is staying here, or you can even say 1,000th of them leaving to the other side, and so it is hardly affected. The concentration of electrons in the emitter region is going to be hardly affected by this motion of or the diffusion of the electrons into the other side, into the base side. But when you look at the change of concentration of electrons in the p region, that is the base region, earlier it was this much, but then 1,000th of 10 raised to 18, suppose it is coming into the side, then there is going to be a significant change. Okay, so we can say that from 10 raised to 5 per centimeter cube, it is going to increase to say some 10 raised to say 15 per centimeter cube, if at least 1,000th of them come, because here it is 10 raised to 18 per centimeter cube, 1,000th of them means 10 raised to 15 of them is coming to the other side. So it is like 10 orders of magnitude increase, and that is a very significant change in the concentration of minority carriers in the base region, and therefore that increase is what I have shown here by this difference. So earlier one was like very small, but then it has gone up by this amount, and this increase is what I am referring to as delta NP, the concentration of electrons in the p side. So delta NP is very large. So now if we can find out how much is this delta NP, then we can easily find out what is going to be the current, the diffusion current due to the minority carriers, because this side of the base is going to be, so if I redraw this, one side you have so this is the base width, and roughly you can approximate it like this. Okay, so there is a depletion region which is due to the collector base region. So here there are no charge carriers, so we know that the value of NP at this particular width, say W, so let us take this as W or WB for base, and we will take this as x is equal to 0 at this point. So at x is equal to 0 so this is x is equal to WB. So the change in the concentration of electrons is going to go from this delta NP on this side, okay, from this delta NP on this side to 0 on the other side, and there will be a monotonous function. That means it will be continuously decreasing. The exact shape of that function may be like an exponential, it could be like a straight line, but whenever we assume that the width of the base region is very, very small, even if it is an exponential function, it will be it can be very well approximated by a straight line. So that's the assumption that we would take. We will approximate say this function like a straight line with very, very, very less error. Okay, so we will replace it with a straight line, and now if you replace it with a straight line, then we can immediately find out what is going to be the diffusion current. The current will be like this. This is Jn diffusion, but the electrons are going to flow in the opposite direction because of the negative charge. The current is going to be from right to left. So let us write down the expression for that current. Okay, so expression for electron diffusion current in base region, and that is going to be the collector current. This diffusion current, all the electrons which are going to get into this collector base junction, they will get collected into the collector region. So if you can find out this diffusion current through the base region, we will get the expression of the collector current. So I will call it as the collector current. So this collector current is going to be given by I hope you know that the expression for the diffusion current, if I can express it in either the normal current or the current density. So it is basically A into the current density. Here it is the diffusion current due to electrons. So diffusion current density, so J is standing for diffusion. This is diffusion current density, and density means per unit area. So if you multiply that with the area of cross section of this device, you will get basically the collector current, and so that is equal to A into, now what is this Jn expression? So Jn diffusion is basically given by Q, that is the charge of the electron, then dn, then dn of x by dx. Probably you might have seen this equation from your device class. So this is going to be the expression for Jn diffusion. So N stands for electron, and diff, which I have used it as a superscript, it stands for diffusion current. So there is another current which is called the drift current. So here, because of the concentration change from delta Np to 0 from one end to the other end of the base, there is a concentration gradient, and that concentration gradient is what is denoted by dn by dx. That is the change of concentration of electrons with respect to the distance from x equal to 0 to x equal to wb. There is going to be a change in concentration. Now you can approximate from this straight line approximation, you can approximate the value of dn by dx with the help of a straight line. If you just take the slope of the straight line, so that will be given by what? That will be given by, so change in y. So what is going to be the change in y? The change in y is going to be delta Np. So approximately that is delta Np, because one side it is delta Np and the other side it is 0. So y is changing by, in the y direction it is changing by delta Np. The concentration is changing by delta Np, and then it is over a width. So W width is basically WB, from x equal to 0 to x is equal to WB. So therefore you can approximate it as WB. I hope you are following me. So A is the area, Q is the charge of the electron, I mean just the magnitude of the charge of the electron, and dn is basically the constant of diffusion. Okay, so dn is basically diffusion coefficient, and dn by dx is basically the concentration gradient. Okay, and the concentration gradient I have it is going to be negative, as you can see that it is decreasing, concentration is decreasing, and therefore this dn by dx should be negative, the slope is negative. So there will be a minus sign, which tells us that the current is going to flow in the opposite direction of the increase of x. So that means x is increasing from left to right, and our current is going to be from right to left. But if you are only interested in the magnitude of the current, we can just remove the sign. Okay, so I will just remove the sign, because our convention is such that for a NPN transistor with a 3 terminal, so this is your collector terminal, emitter terminal and the base terminal. The current direction we always take like in the direction of flow. So this is our IC, and this I told you already, this is our IE, and then IB will be like this. So this is the, so we already take IC with a direction from right to left, and therefore so we can write it as positive. Okay, so do not get confused, but if you strictly look at this dN by dx, it should be negative. Okay, so that is a relationship with respect to x and current direction. Okay, x is increasing to the right, current is flowing from to the left, and therefore dN by dx should be actually negative. But if you are taking the direction of current in the negative, ask the positive value of current, and then we can just remove that sign. Okay, so I will just take the magnitude, so I will not put this sign here for simplicity. So this is going to be our collector current. But then what is our delta NP? So we need to know what is delta NP. So what is the magnitude of this delta NP? Now to get this magnitude, we have to use another law, which is called the law of junction. So this can be evaluated using the law of junctions. Probably you might have studied in the case of PN junctions. Let me know. Have you studied the law of junctions? It is used in the derivation of diode current expression.
No, sir.
You have not studied. Then what did you study in device? So this is like one of the basic thing. Okay, so if you have not studied, just let me explain it very quickly. So I cannot go into all the details, but some minimum details I will put in here. So if you take a PN junction, so on one side you have a P side, the other side you have N side, and then there is a depletion region. Now the concentration of carriers are going to be different on the N side and the P side, and you also know that there is going to be positive charge in the depletion region, immobile positive charge, and there is going to be negative charge on the P side. Okay, this is because the electrons have gone from N side to the P side, leaving the ions. Okay, and similarly the holes have gone from the P side to the N side, leaving negative charge ions. Okay, so that is what the depletion region will look like. It has immobile charges. On the N side you have positive charge, and on the P side you have negative charge, and there is going to be an electric field in this direction. Okay, from positive ions to the negative ions there is going to be an electric field, and if I say that this side is 1 and this side is 2, and if I integrate this electric field from 1 to 2 with a minus sign, you will get basically the voltage of the N side, because N side is more positive, so there is going to be an voltage that is developed, which I am going to call it as VBI. The subscript stands for built-in voltage. Okay, so built-in voltage will be reached, and the magnitude of the built-in voltage depends upon the condition of equilibrium. After how much flow of electrons and holes from one side to the other side, this electric field become sufficiently large to oppose further flow. Okay, so that is how the equilibrium is reached. So as initially there is no electric field, no immobile charge on both sides, because all the electrons in the N side are at the N side before joining the P and N material. But the moment you join them, because of the concentration difference, they try to move to the other side, making the N side positive and making the P side negative. So this will result in the development of an electric field and a built-in potential, which will then further oppose this flow of charges. okay, and equilibrium will be reached. So so for electron there will be an equilibrium, for holes separately there will be an equilibrium. So if I take the electron equilibrium, what I mean is that the current electron current due to diffusion, that is due to the concentration gradient, which I earlier wrote it as dN by dx, and there will be, because of the electric field that is developed, now any charge in an electric field will experience a force and they will be drifted by it, and that is given by drift. Okay, this is drift and this is diffusion. Okay, so don't confuse between these two. So this is the diffusion due to the concentration gradient, and this is drift due to the developed electric field, and that for electron is given by this expression, where E is basically the electric field, the magnitude of the electric. Q n mu n is the mobility, so that's a constant. Mu n is called the mobility of electron. Okay, so Q, charge of magnitude of the charge of electron, n is basically the concentration of electrons in the presence of the electric field, and E is the magnitude of the electric field, and mu n is the mobility of the electron. Okay, so these are the two currents, and basically at equilibrium, we can say that Jn diffusion plus Jn drift is going to be equal to 0. Okay, because the concentration, due to the concentration gradient, diffusion current flows, and if you take the motion of electron, that is from right to the left, diffusion, because n side has plenty of electrons and p side has very less scarcity of electron, and therefore from higher concentration to the lower concentration, electrons will flow because of the concentration gradient, and that is basically the diffusion current. That is one part. The other current is going to be the drift current. Because of the movement of these electrons, there is a potential that is built up at the depletion region, and that electric field is going to create a new current, because any charge in an electric field will be drifted by the electric field, and that is the component of drift current. So the cause of drift current is electric field, the cause of diffusion current is the concentration gradient. So these two current, when you add them up at equilibrium, they have to become 0. So I am not applying any external potential or anything like that here. Okay, so this is just joining of two material, one is n type, the other is p type. There is going to be a resultant built-in potential, and we are going to calculate how much is going to be the built-in potential. So we took one component of current, we added with that the other component of the current, and at equilibrium it has to be 0. So from this condition we can find out the expression. So now we substitute. So if you substitute, Q is common in both side, okay, in both component, and since it is equated to 0, we can throw away Qn, and we can write it as dN into dN by dx plus basically n mu n E equal to 0. Okay, so we can take one component to the other side, so we can rearrange them. So we can say dN by n is equal to mu n by dN, mu n by dN E dot dx. Okay, I just rearranged and then I am going to integrate on both sides. There is going to be a minus sign also, so I will put that minus sign here. Okay, when I take this e term to the other side, there is going to be a minus sign with it. So I am going to separate the variable. One variable is n, the other variable is x. so I'm going to separate them and I'm going to integrate them from 1 to 2. Okay, so I rearranged this equation. I wrote the equilibrium condition and then I rearranged this equation, and I'm going to integrate it from 1 to 2 because integral minus of the integral I have wrote here. This is what I call the potential. Okay, so I'm going to substitute for the potential. So therefore the built-in potential, that is my VBI, is going to be equal to, so I collect all other term to the other side, so then it will become dn by mu n, and we have an integral there which is 1 by n dn. Okay, so everybody know what is the integral of 1 by n. So that is basically log, natural log. And integral is from n1 to 2, so it is 1 to 2 n2 upper limit by n1. Okay, so 1 is basically where? 1 is basically the p side. I have taken 1 as the p side, right? I have taken 1, this is the 1 and this is the 2. Okay, so p side, the concentration of electrons is what we are looking at. The concentration changes from one side to the other side. We know that on the p side the electron concentration is going to be lesser, and on the n side, that is at 2, n2 is going to be much larger. So I can say that n2 is going to be roughly, it is I can say ND, that is the donor impurity concentration. Okay, so on the n side. Okay, so n-type material is created by putting into the intrinsic material some donor atoms, and depending upon how much we put in by the process called doping, that is going to decide the concentration of the majority carrier, or we can say the majority carrier concentration is equal to the donor impurity concentration. Okay, and what about N1? N1 is the minority carriers, because N1 is the concentration of holes on the p side, and they are going to be minority carriers. And to find the minority carrier, what we do is law of mass action, Ni square by N acceptor impurity concentration on the p side. So Na is basically the concentration of acceptor impurity on the p side. So from this we will get the concentration of electrons on the p side. Okay, we can also call this one as N on the p side. This is basically N on the n side. Okay, so that's the convention which I taught you in the last class. So if you substitute, therefore VBI is dn by mu n. Now dn by mu n is basically kBT by q. Okay, so this is called the Einstein relation. Okay, so this is called Einstein's relation. It's a very famous relation. The ratio of diffusion coefficient to the mobility, that is given by kBT by q. Okay, so kBT by q is familiar to you, so that's how the kBT by q enter here, and it can be proven, but I am not going into the derivation of that again. So all of this you are supposed to learn it from the device class. Okay, so then you have ln, which is the natural logarithm of n2. N2 is basically nd, and so I told you this is going to be very large compared to n1. Okay, so logarithm of a quantity which is very large divided by very small is going to be a positive thing, and so this built-in voltage is going to be positive. Okay, so we have defined the built-in voltage as the potential on the n side divided by the with respect to the potential on the p side. Okay, because the n side get plus charges due to the electron leaving from the n side to the p side. Okay, so and the kVt by q I can also denote it as Vt, and if I write n2 as nn, okay, so that's the relationship that we will make use for furthering the derivation. So this is basically the expression for the built-in voltage, and for silicon, if you evaluate this for silicon for the same doping concentration, you will see that built-in voltage is going to be larger. So built-in voltage is somehow related with the cut-in voltage that decides the cut-in voltage. For germanium, if you evaluate, built-in voltage comes around 0.3. For silicon, it will come around some 0.65, 0.7, etc. And the reason why they differ is because the Ni square, that means at room temperature, the intrinsic concentration of germanium and silicon is going to be very different, because it is very easy to for electrons to go from valence band to conduction band in the case of germanium compared to that of silicon, because for silicon there is more energy gap between the valence and the conduction band. So that's how the 0.7 and 0.3 etc. comes. The origin is like that. Okay. So that's basically, if you invert this relationship, so therefore if you invert this relationship, we will get basically n is equal to np into e raised to vbi by vt. Okay, so VBI by VT, I means, I told you, it's something around 0.7 or 0.6, something like that for silicon material, and VT, you know, at room temperature it is 26 millivolt. Okay, so if you take that, you will get a very huge number, and that huge number, when you multiply with this minority carrier concentration on the p side, you will get basically the electron concentration on the n side. So what it tells, this is called the law of junction. What it tells you is that the concentration of the same kind of carriers, so here the charge carriers we are taking is electrons. So electron at point 1 and electron at point 2, the concentration of the magnitude of the concentration of those at two different points in the material is related to the voltage between those 2 points. So VBI is basically the voltage between the voltage difference between the 2 points, and that is related to the carrier concentration. So in this case we have taken electron. Similarly, you can establish a relationship between the hole concentration in a very, very similar way. Okay, so all you need to do is to start with the hole diffusion current and hole drift current, add those two components at equilibrium, equate that to 0, and proceed exactly the same way. You will get a similar kind of result. And I can also write this like NP. Okay, because we are going to look at the minority carrier concentration on the base region, where electrons are coming into the base region, and there the carrier concentration is increasing, and so that is going to be nn into e raised to minus vbi by vt. It is the same relationship, I just took this exponential term to the other side, that's it. So therefore if you bring it to the numerator, it will have a minus sign. So this is what we need to use. So after the forward bias, what is going to be the difference, the effect of forward bias? Effect of forward biasing the emitter base region is basically to, when there is no bias, we had a built-in potential. So VBE will now go to VBE minus the base emitter voltage. So here we are talking about a NPN transistor. To forward bias, base emitter is to be positive. Okay, and that applied base emitter voltage is how on the P side we give a plus voltage, and on the N side we give negative voltage. But built-in voltage has positive on the N side. Okay, so we are basically giving an external voltage which is to oppose the internal developed voltage. So if I draw the diagram again for a PN junction, when you say we are forward biasing, this is the P and this is the N side, and you have a depletion region, and there is a built-in voltage like VBI like this. But when you forward bias, you apply an voltage externally like this is the externally applied voltage. And if I look at the polarity of this, positive is connected to the negative, so they are coming against the VBI, and only then the current is going to increase. Okay, the physics of why the current is increasing when you apply forward bias is this, that the externally applied voltage will remove the barrier. What was opposing the further flow of current? The internally developed built-in voltage was actually opposing the diffusion between across the junction. But now what we do is that we apply an external voltage in order to oppose the built-in voltage, and we suppress that effect of built-in voltage by the external voltage, and thereby permitting the diffusion as it happened at the beginning of creating the junction. Okay, so we need to apply a voltage which is opposite to that. And now this is going to tremendously increase the concentration of minority carrier on the other side. So if I take my point 2 here and 1 here like before, just at the edge of the depletion region, okay, but inside the N side we call it point 2 and point 1 is here, then there is going to be a tremendous increase, because now we are aiding further diffusion, and that aiding of further diffusion is related to the effective potential across the junction, because now across the junction the voltage is going to be VBI minus VBE. So VBE, this is basically VBE when we talk about emitter based junction. Okay, so if you take it as emitter based junction, to forward bias an NPN transistor at for forward biasing the emitter based junction of an NPN transistor, what we mean is that we apply an external voltage positive at the P side, that is the base region, compared to the emitter region. Okay, so that will oppose our original VBI and it will be subtracted, and the result is that I will have my earlier it was NP, say I will call it as NP0, okay, at the equilibrium it was like this, and here also it is equilibrium. So now it is going to be increased by an amount. Okay, how did that come? Because and the change in the majority carrier is very minimal, the concentration is not even changing. I told you 1 in 1000 only is leaving to the other side, and if 1 in 1000 leaves, it's like 999, and compared to 1000 that is not a change. So this quantity we will assume it is going to remain the same, because it is heavily doped, huge concentration, a small amount of charge leaving to the other side, or small fraction, maybe it is like 1 in 1000 or even 1 in 10,000 or even smaller than that, but that is going to make a tremendous difference on the base side. So this is basically the base side, and this is the concentration on the emitter side. Both are electrons, but they are related through this law of junction, and now I will write the law of junction as VBI minus VBE by VT. Okay, now what we are interested in? We are interested in this quantity, because when we derived the expression for the collector current, this quantity was there. So we want to put in the expression for that quantity. If you put in that expression, where is that? Yeah, so here is that. So if you can substitute, everything else is a constant. You see, width of the base region is a constant, diffusion constant dN, that is constant for a material. It's a material property. Q is the magnitude of the charge of electron, which is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. A is basically area of cross section. So the only quantity which is going to determine the collector current is this delta delta NP. So delta NP, that is the increase in the minority carrier concentration just on the right side of the emitter base junction, that is the starting point of the base region. That's what we are looking at, and it is related to the potential between those 2 points. Which are the 2 points? One point is here, that is just on the left side of the depletion region of the emitter base junction, and the other, so that is this NN0 at point 1. Okay, so this is at point 1 and this is at point 2. Okay, so which is just right side, that is just in the base region. So this is a diode, but if you look at the transistor, okay, so there is a transistor. So this is our collector, which is okay, so I have to modify. Okay, so let me just remove this and modify and draw the picture of earlier. Just to explain things, I have drawn the diode, but I could show with the transistor itself. Okay, so this is my emitter, this is my base, and this is my collector. We are talking about point 1 here, this is point 1, and point 2 this side, point 2 is that side. So we are applying a forward bias. Okay, we are applying a forward bias, and here also we need to apply a voltage, but let's just put it 0 voltage also is fine. So then what we are saying is that so at point 1 you have NN0, because this is NPN, or rather N plus PN, very heavily concentration. So that NN0 is the concentration at point 1, which is around 10 raised to 18, and this is the depletion region. Because of the forward bias VBE that is applied, it is going to oppose the built-in voltage which was there. Okay, because all the voltage which we are applying is mostly coming across the junction, because that is where the barrier is, and N plus and P region are quite conductive, and therefore the voltage drop in that is very negligible to the first order. Okay, so we get this expression, and we are looking at the concentration increase here. So in order to find the increase in the concentration, what we need to do is basically to take NP0 to the other side. So therefore delta NP, what we are interested in finding out is basically NN0 e raised to minus VBI minus VBE by VT, and now NP0 is here, so I can substitute it as NN0 into e raised to minus VBI by VT. Okay, so I just substituted this equation for NP0 after taking it to the other side. Now I can do a little bit of rearrangement. So my increased concentration, now I can write it. I can take these two common, so that is NN0 into e raised to minus VBI by VT is there in both terms, so I can take it as common, and what is remaining here is basically e raised to VBE by VT minus 1. So this is what I will get. Okay, now what is NN0? So what is going to be NN0? NN0 is going to be depending upon okay, so to look at what is this quantity, Okay, so we have earlier looked at that quantity. So what is that quantity? NN0 into e raised to minus Vb by Vt. I can write it as Np0. So that is the concentration before I applied the forward bias. So I can write it as Np0 into e raised to Vbe by Vt minus 1. And what is that Np0? I think I have wrote somewhere before, but that is from the law of mass action. So this is basically that expression, so which I will substitute there. So this is basically equal to Ni square, okay, Ni square by, so this is the concentration of electrons in the base region before applying forward bias, and that depends upon the concentration of the acceptor impurity. Ni square by the concentration of the acceptor impurity in the base. So since it is base region, I will denote it by Nb into e raised to Vbe by Vt minus 1. Okay, so let me write it explicitly. This is the acceptor, which I told you as 10 raised to 15. Okay, acceptor impurity concentration in the base region. Okay, similarly I will take Ne as the donor impurity concentration in the emitter region, which is going to be much higher, maybe 3 orders of magnitude higher, because emitter is going to be heavily doped compared to the base region. So this is around 10 raised to 15 per centimeter cube, and this is around 10 raised to 18 per centimeter cube for making the transistor better. So that those are the values that we will take. And collector is something like 10 raised to 16 per centimeter cube. Okay, it is moderately doped. Base is lightly doped and emitter is heavily doped. Okay, so we got an expression now for delta Np that we were looking for, and now we can substitute that in the expression for our collector current. So this is our expression for collector current here. Okay, so this is the expression for collector current. So let me rewrite it. So therefore IC is going to be AQDN, the quantity now that we got, and so there is a WB also, so WB into delta Np. So now I have got the expression for delta Np. I'm going to substitute that, Ni square by Nb. Okay, Ni square by Np into e raised to Vb by Vt minus 1. Okay, so now all these are basically constants, right? Ni square is basically the intrinsic carrier concentration of the charge carriers when the material is intrinsic. For example, silicon, if you take Ni value is something like at T equal to 300 Kelvin, Ni value is 1.5 into 10 raised to 10 per centimeter cube. That much electrons and holes, both of them will be equal, and the square of that is like 2.25 into 10 raised to 20 per centimeter raised to 6. So that we have seen. And Nb is basically, I have already defined, acceptor impurity concentration in the base region. Dn is the diffusion coefficient, A is the area of cross section, Q is the charge, the magnitude of the charge of electron, and Wb is the width of the base region. Okay, all of these are constant, and I'm going to call them together as Is. So thus the collector current IC is equal to Is into e raised to Vbe, that is base emitter voltage, minus 1. Now if you are forward biasing the base emitter voltage, you will definitely apply something like 0.6 or 0.7, something like that. So Vbe is of the order of 0.7 volts.
Sir, we have another class.
Okay, I'm just finishing it. And Vt is like 0.026 volts. Okay, so if you take the ratio Earlier also we have done 700 by 26 it is basically, and this is going to be in the exponent of e exponential. We will exponentiate that, and therefore it's much larger than this one. Okay, so you can with a very good approximation you can write this as EBE by VT. Okay, so this is the collector current finally that we get, and I would like to stop here.